All right. Well, holy moly. And now you've got to say something witty, funny, something charming that will bring people in.
I don't do that on the spur of the moment. I don't do it anytime, really.
Yeah.
It happens by accident every now and again.
Yeah, every now and again. You can tell the ones that I'm just grasping. Okay? This could be one of those.
Yeah.
This could be one of those. But Mark, another week has passed.
And there was some rugby on.
I believe there was. There was some good rugby.
Very good week for rugby.
Yeah, it was. And I think it's 2 good weeks of rugby in a row.
We've been spoiled.
Yes, we have been spoiled.
Spoiled for rugby. No internationals, but you're a bit droopy there. But
Hold on. Let me get a control of my droopiness. You talk away.
Rugby.
All they can hear is just me with this mic.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, sorry. But, and it's on your channel, so I can't swear so much. Can I?
Well, are you going to edit out the swears?
It's a pain. I try not to swear. On mine, when we do mine, I can just go, it's fine.
Yeah.
But when I swear on yours, I'm like, I'm going to have to.
I will endeavour to keep it clean.
And then I always forget a couple, you might have noticed.
Well, I've mentioned before that C-bomb that was even towards it was like the last quarter of the video.
So that's an immediate demonetization.
That one got demonetized, yeah.
Because of the old
C-bomb.
C-punt.
Yep.
Do you reckon even saying C-punt is just a little too close together for it
We'll find out.
If this has been demonetized. If you see a little yellow signal.
They won't see it, but I'll see it. And I'll be like, Tony!
Damn you! At $12.50, this podcast usually makes me.
It's now only 20 cents.
Oh. But a hell of a week of rugby.
You watched the Champions Cup final.
Did.
I know you watched it because you
did.
texted me about it.
I always text you more than I did.
It's pretty rare for you to text me with the result of a rugby game or like during a rugby game. Like usually we keep the powder dry so it's kind of fresh for the podcast. Yeah. We tend not to talk about the stuff until we get here.
I was watching it. To be fair, I was watching it about 9 hours.
You were watching it delayed.
About 9 hours.
Did you know the result?
No, I didn't.
Thank goodness for that.
I did not know the result because very, very early on just almost was like, I'm just going to fast forward to the end because this is bullshit. Like at the very start, I was like, "Oh, it's 17-0." Like, cause I was actually quite excited. Felt like there was a lot of pomp and ceremony around it.
I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, we in New Zealand probably don't get a real grip. Like, I had one comment on the Champions Cup final video where someone was like, "I thought the final was the Stormers and Munster. What the hell's this competition?"
Yeah,
like,
wow.
because there's the two, and I get it. Like, we don't get exposed to it that much. The fact that there's multiple competitions, the top 14, the Premiership, the URC, all running concurrent with the Champions Cup. Oh. It's for us, it's a bit confusing.
It is. And then I found out about the Challenge Cup this weekend as well.
Yeah, even that as well. Which we don't get broadcast here in New Zealand.
Makes no news. Hamish was telling me about it.
Right.
And the only way I could really it was just basically comparable to Europa.
Yes, if you're a football fan, you'll understand the concept of the Champions League and then the Europa Cup.
It's basically Europa for the teams that weren't quite
good enough to get into the Champions League. Yeah, the Champions Cup. They go into the Challenge Cup.
And Glasgow lost.
They did. They lost to Toulon. I didn't watch it because it's not broadcast here in New Zealand. It's not worthy.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it until Hamish was talking about it.
There you go, Hamish from the Kiwi lads.
Oh, good one, Hamish. But anyway, yeah, I did watch it, and maybe the best game of rugby I've seen this year.
You know when you go into a final, like not that many finals kind of live up to the billing. Like it's an arm wrestle, it's tight, it's like, maybe a bit turgid, but this had everything.
It really did. It really did. It reminded me a bit of the 99 Bledisloe Cup game.
Right. The game of the century.
Game of the century type feel where the All Blacks got 3 quick tries within like 7 minutes.
Looked like it was dead and buried, and then there was a comeback from the
Wallabies. And there was just to and fro.
That game is on YouTube, by the way. If people want to
you should watch it. It's a fantastic game.
Yeah.
Jonas Schools in did we spoil it?
Spoiler 1999.
1999, the All Blacks win.
The All Blacks win at the death.
With Jonah scoring a great try right at the end. Tane Randall does one of the only good things Tane Randall ever did. I shouldn't say that. He does a lovely little basketball pass over the top to get it out to Jonah at the end.
Is that right?
Yeah, then he skins one guy and then just does it. You know the thing where he just does it where he makes it look wildly easy?
Easy, yeah. That was Jonah's thing.
Yeah. It was
a good rugby player.
He was all right. He's pretty good. But no, the game itself was just spectacular.
The atmosphere was incredible.
Yeah. La Rochelle fans turning up in numbers.
They're passionate supporters.
Yeah, and then just the absolute blitz in that first half.
It was weird as well because these same two teams contested this trophy last year
Yeah.
in France, and Leinster went the whole game without scoring a try.
Wow.
Like they couldn't crack them within a minute.
Yeah, 45 seconds
They're
or
on the
something.
board, Dan Sheehan.
Yeah, and he's got some wheels, doesn't he?
He does.
And it's just one of those beautifully worked tries.
Yeah, you love those kind of set plays, like plan moves. Is it going to work out? And then when you see the coach's box celebrating, like, oh, it worked.
It kind of reminded me of that the 2011 Tony Woodcock try.
Yeah,
albeit 5 meters away.
Yeah.
But just
different,
perfect,
but same but different. Yeah.
They called it the ginger nut because he dunked him right in it.
I never heard that.
That's what Steve Hansen called it. He was like,
Okay.
we call it the ginger nut. And everyone's like, well, here's a good. He's like, you just open it up and you dunk him right in there.
Him and his biscuits. Wasn't he on like a biscuit ad for like...
Toffee Pops.
Yeah, that was Carlos, wasn't it? Or was it he was also...
Well. Okay. He wasn't as scantily clad as Carlos was.
Okay.
I almost feel as though I should show the images, but
if he doesn't, just Google.
I put Theo Von in last week's episode. Did you notice that? Did you even watch the footage?
I listened to the podcast.
All right. Well, I did. I put in all the bits that I said.
Because this is a podcast available
on Spotify
and iHeartRadio,
Apple Podcasts,
and Google Podcasts, and all your regular podcasting platforms. In case you'd rather listen.
Yeah, because we're pretty ugly. I get it. I understand.
I understand as well. Face for radio.
Yeah. I have been told I have testicles for radio.
But you do. I've never seen them, but I'll take your word for
it. They
it.
look awful, but they sound incredible.
There you go.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But Stan Sheehan, early try.
Oh,
and then O'Brien gets one like a few minutes later. They're up. Ross Byrne. Conversion just kind of off the post, and then the next try comes again only a few minutes later.
A couple of incredible kicks from
James Lowe gets a 50-22. Like his kicking boots desert him later in the game.
They sure do in a big way.
But initially, that first kick was pretty solid.
I think even Jamison Gibson Park had a couple of kicks, and they were just so. That whole first half, I was thinking, I don't know where I can remember a forward pack being so ferocious at the breakdown.
Yeah, James Ryan was a beast.
And their line speed on defence was just...
Incredible,
they were
ferocious.
up for it.
Yeah.
They were certainly up for it, which makes the ultimate result all the more impressive for La Rochelle. But then when I was sitting at home, I was sitting there going... Because I was looking forward to it, I was excited.
Yeah.
And then once Tawera Barlow gets the
yellow
card and they score immediately afterwards, I was this close. It was right in the text, and I thought, I'll just keep watching it. I was about to text you going, is this worth watching? Like, because it was like the middle of my Sunday. Like, right. I was like, do I
hungover, probably.
Yeah, I wasn't really, actually. Okay. I wasn't hungover at all, actually.
Oh, thanks for a change.
Strange. I was tired. I was very tired.
Okay.
I was like, I almost wanted to turn it off. And I just sort of hung in there, and then La Rochelle got a try.
Well, there's that moment where I think it's Gibson Park passes it to James Lowe, and the pass is a bit low. And he just...
We've got that on the...
Yeah, we should get
too far
closer.
away, yeah.
And he fluffs it, which is... I can't really blame him. It's around his ankles. Ideally, you'd like him to catch it, but he doesn't. He knocks it on. La Rochelle scrum, and then boomfa. They're away.
Yeah.
Dante with the try. Gives Gary Ringrose the big don't argue. And,
yes, that's right. Yeah, he's a powerful man.
He's a big unit.
Yeah. And Gary Ringrose did a lot of really good things. He's incredible at the breakdown. He's like an overside flanker at the breakdown.
He can be. Him and Henshaw. They're pretty.
Like, you give them half a moment. So many great turnovers in this game. But yeah, he got put on his butt and like taught a lesson in that moment. But yeah, it was just. And then for the rest of that game, like in terms of that first half, in the back of my mind, I thought Leinster are going to get this. They're going to win this.
They should, yeah.
They should. You just had they got the team, they got the crowd behind them. But sort of like Munster the week before, they had a side that just wouldn't go away.
Yeah.
And is there a bigger forward pack in the world?
You got Uini Antonio, you got Will Skelton. There's some big units there.
Is a man mountain.
Yeah. He plays so well for them, and then when he's for the Wallabies, you're kind of like.
Hopefully, Eddie Jones can get the
best out of him. Whatever Ronan O'Gara's doing with him.
Yeah, he seems to get.
It's just getting through them. It works. It works a treat.
He is a man mountain.
Yeah. Old Drake carries for days.
He looks like he's in a different weight class to everybody else. It's amazing. I was looking at him next to like Tad Furlong or whatever, and I was like, he's making him look small.
Yeah. He's a huge,
he's
a huge human.
And then who was that absolute behemoth they brought on the front row? Scored the
Colombe, the one who gets knocked out at the end of the game. Yeah.
Oh, that was a bad moment. Yeah, but how big is that guy?
Yeah. They
You're
like
a sumo man.
They like him big. They like him big in La Rochelle. What can I say?
Far out. They are just.
But it was their midfielder Setoni who got the second try for La Rochelle right before half time, and that was where you kind of had that. Hang on.
You're like, because the whole time you thought, I was just sitting there hoping beyond hope as a neutral.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted Leinster to win. Just going back to my kind of Irish roots,
Yeah.
but I was like,
Want it to be a contest.
I really want La Rochelle to come back, so I was cheering them on.
Yeah,
okay. Like, yes, and because I just wanted some exciting rugby to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
And in the last 5 minutes, I was like, this is great. This is awesome. And just as a neutral, but like, they really fought.
Yeah.
They could have just dropped their heads after that.
That's
absolute
right.
blitzing.
I got up to watch that one more or less live. You know, I do my little trick where I get up a little bit later, but like I literally put the game on, put headphones on, they're wireless, so I'm putting the jug on, trying to get my coffee. Dad, shit goes over. What the? Like he couldn't breathe in that first half. No. I could barely get my toast made, man. It was unbelievable. It was crazy.
You just want your toast and your coffee.
A lot of games start pretty tentatively. They kick for territory. They feel each other out a bit. Nothing much happens. Exactly. The ref's trying to get the scrum in order.
Yeah.
And I can make my toast in peace. I don't miss much. But, geez, you couldn't take your eyes off that first half.
Do you think the Leinster boys will be ruining the fact that they didn't play their top side against Munster, and now they're out of both finals?
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
they made the final, but
they're not walking away with silverware this year.
Another year where Leinster wins a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, with a supremely quality team.
It's crazy because they have phenomenal seasons in both competitions, and they're just like at the final hurdle or the penultimate hurdle, just can't get it done.
Could be a little bit of forecasting for what's to come with a lot of those
People are
playing.
drawing some parallels into what happens at the World Cup with these boys in green, because that's a largely Irish squad.
It's as close as you get to an international squad, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well...
What happens to them in the second half? They're just not at the races. They
I
can't
think
exit.
I think they're
trying to hold on. They're trying to play.
I think La Rochelle were just... they're like... just buoyed by the fact they were still in the game.
Yeah.
And Ronan O'Gara would have, come up with some sort of inspirational madness. And they were just like, what's ours to win now? We just take it to them. And they just kept them. And the whole game was played inside
Leinster's half in that second half. Yeah.
And they couldn't exit. And they just...
So many shanked kicks.
They weren't kicking well. They were a little bit rattled. I think they were still... Their endeavour and their intent was still really, really high.
I think they were missing James Ryan as well, because he goes off in the first half with an HIA and he doesn't come back on. He's one of the few guys, like I remember Will Skelton making an early carry and James Ryan, I think it was James Ryan, just like clatters into him, stops him pretty much point blank. And I'm like, okay, that's what they needed to do. Because in the last final, the previous year, they were a bit bullied up front.
Yeah.
I was like, right, no, they're up for it this time. They're not going to let that kind of repeat itself. But, no, man, they just couldn't get into the game.
No, they really couldn't. And I think there were some pretty bad mistakes that were made. I think James Lowe's kicking in that last 20 minutes.
Gibson Park, you mentioned, kicks it on the full.
Yeah.
Ross Burns, 2 missed conversions.
Ouch.
I mean,
Ross Burns is... If you're Ireland and he's the next cab off the rank, you're not going to win the World Cup with him at your...
It's a weird one as well, because I feel like he's always been the guy who's been behind Sexton. I mean, when it's been Carberry or Ross Byrne.
Yeah.
Whenever Ross Byrne's been given a crack with Ireland, he's not really kind of stepped up and just taken a game by the scruff of the neck and bossed the show. But they kind of dropped him from the Ireland squad for a while, and he came back at the end of last year just looking confident, like, bugger it. Like,
they had Carberry on the New Zealand tour, didn't they?
That's right. But it's like he seemed to be playing with a newfound confidence. Like, if I don't just let it all out there, then I'm going to get dropped.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is his moment. Like, this is the game where he needs to just...
his authority.
But it didn't quite happen. I mean, it's not any one player's mistake, but I mean, yeah.
It is tough.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, they had their chance to get back into it. I mean, Colombe gets that try in like 71 minutes, but Leinster they finally got into La Rochelle's 22.
Yeah.
And then...
Alan Alatoa.
Michael Alatoa.
Oh, shit.
Alan plays for the Brumbies.
Sorry, Alan.
It's his brother.
The other Alatoa.
Yeah.
That was super unfortunate.
Like kind of dumb.
A little brain, just the
unnecessary when you're on attack.
I don't know. Like you're definitely dumb, but I can imagine I would do a lot of dumb things in that fiery
pressure cooker situation. He's come on at 50 minutes, so he's he's knackered a bit. He's been running around.
He's just trying to
clear out a big hit so his guys can get forward.
Yeah. But he just does it in the dumbest way. And is that the game? Oh no, that's the game in terms of where it was. But is that I felt like a score was impending.
It felt like it.
Yeah, it felt like they had all the right, and it was just.
I was waiting for them to set up a drop goal. Like again, Ross Byrne. I was like, "Come on, Ross."
There were a couple of times this weekend in other games, in Super Rugby games. So I was like, "Where's the droppy, guys?
Yeah.
You can put this to bed with a droppy." But
teams don't do it much anymore, eh?
Set up for it.
We saw it in the Munster game.
Yeah, exactly.
The week before,
second five got it done.
Exactly.
I thought that was madness. Like just drop in the pocket, man. Drop in the, and that's another, a time for your Ross Byrne, is that his name? Yeah. So that's the time for him to be like,
right, boys, give me the freaking ball.
I'm in the pocket.
I can do this.
Or I thought that he was going to do that sneaky drop kick that Carter used to do, where he would, because people would often stand off him because they don't know what he's going to do. So his line speed was always, because class players have time. He was get the ball and instead of pass, just slot a drop it. Yeah. There were a couple of opportunities that could have done that rather than that really premeditated one where you're 10
deep
meters
in the
back.
pocket and they know it's coming.
But yeah, they choked.
Yeah.
They did choke.
They scored 26 points and 23 of them in the first half. So
and 17 of them in the first 12 minutes.
That's right.
Yeah. It was
80-minute game.
But just such a quality game. They were a huge
quality game, and you got to give heaps
of
of credit to La Rochelle. Like as much as we kind of focus on the Irish element because we're probably more familiar with those guys. We watch more URC than we do top 14, but I don't want to take anything away from La Rochelle, man. They were unbelievable.
Really happy for
Botia, the Fijian. Goodness gracious me, what a unit. And at the breakdown, phenomenal.
Yeah, he is.
He got pinged for the first one, and then every other time he just got it right, which is what you want to see from players. Like,
an absolute pest.
You try pushing it, and then he gets pinged, so he knows, like, right, if I put my hands on the deck, I'm going to get pinged, so I need to just ease off a little bit, but still go.
What do you think of the refereeing in the game, did you?
I thought he was all right.
Yeah, I thought he did pretty well. I thought he was a little bit loose on the line speed of Leinster in the first half, but I don't know if they were loose or it's just they were just so damn fast. When it can
be borderline, eh?
When it's that fast and that intent and they just don't have any time on the ball, you always have to go, well, they're probably coming up really quick, but they're probably pushing everything to the limit they possibly can. It's great to see Tawera Kiribalo
in cracking form.
Yeah. Australia's next number 9.
Maybe if Eddie's impressed.
Do we ever change the laws in New Zealand to take, and we probably wouldn't take him still.
Not with Aaron Smith there. I don't think we're...
With Aaron Smith and with there's a bit of a stable of 9s.
Yeah, we've got a fair few 9s at the moment. I don't think we're any desperate need
Who's your number 2, number 9?
I reckon that...
Weber?
It depends if they blood him in the Rugby Championship.
Roigard.
Oh. Because I've run the stats. You know me, I've run the stats. And he is just like the absolute kind of foil for the way Aaron Smith plays. Like Aaron Smith is the ultimate distributor, got one of the most beautiful passes in the game.
Wasn't that what Fakatava was
reads the game. Fakatava's in the middle.
Yeah, okay.
Like he's like a distributor and got a bit of an attacking threat. Like, if I can bust out some stats for a second.
Just don't bust a nut.
Aaron Smith.
Or bust a nut. It's okay. We're all friends.
If you're looking at the 3 options of do I kick, do I pass, or do I run?
Yes.
Aaron Smith runs it 4% of the time. So he's mostly not running it. Fakatava.
He has got a couple of...
He does. He picks his moment, but it's very, it's very measured.
Has that stat come down as he's got older?
I think so.
As it naturally would.
Yeah. Fakatava's 8%. So he's double where Aaron Smith is at. But Roigard is 12%.
Did you say 3%?
8. So 4, 8, and 12.
Okay, right. I thought you said he was 3 the first time. I was like, we've got to do some math.
4, 8, and 12.
4, 8, and 12.
And like Roigard has like, up until week 12 when I ran the stats, he had like 7 tries. The next best halfback's got 4. He's got like the most defenders beaten, the most clean breaks. Like if you want to bring some guy off the bench for the last 10 minutes who's just going to be a real handful, I reckon he's your guy.
I think one of the...
But experience is a massive thing. He could be a bolster.
Where does Finlay Christie sit in all this?
Yeah, see, he's kind of in the middle as well.
Yeah, there's a few, isn't there? And then I think one of the problems that Roygaard has got, though, is I think that the number 10, I've forgotten his name, the guy with the little dirty Sanchez Mo from the Hurricanes. What's his name?
Morgan?
He's not the greatest.
Right.
He's obviously a very quality player, but he's not international class.
Do you think there's more pressure on Roygaard to do more at night?
Well, I think that you're just not going to look that great when you don't have a high-quality halves partner, essentially.
I just think he brings something different.
Yeah, point of difference.
Absolutely.
I don't hear anyone else talking about him, but I knew who you were thinking.
Yeah, you knew.
I knew.
There you go.
That's why it's such a great podcast, because we give such great, incredible, in-depth, real analysis.
There you go.
Are we finished with the Heineken Cup?
Heineken Cup. It was a great game. What can I say? I was pumped for that game for the whole day.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Yeah, it was.
I was almost about to talk to my wife about it, but I was like, nah, she's not going to appreciate it. It's going to bring me down if I talk to her about it.
I didn't even think about talking to my partner about it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I was actually quite sick. I had a cold, and I was dealing with that.
Did it make you feel a bit better?
It was just nice to snuggle up on my little couch, put a blanket on. It was a bit of a shit day outside, and watch it high quality. It was so weird. I feel like I didn't have a real dog in the race, but my dog was whether it was going to be a good watchable game.
And it was fantastic.
And I was almost 60 at the start going, there's no fun being a neutral watching a pumping.
Yeah.
I was like, this is going to suck. And then I was thinking, okay, they've scored 17 points in 12 minutes. If they keep going at that rate, they're going to score 110 points or something. I was like, this sucks. But no, it just turned out to be just... look, there were so many great games in the Six Nations this year as well, so definitely giving it a bit of recency bias.
Yeah. But a lot of talk about how good just Northern Hemisphere teams are looking at the moment.
Well, look, we'll see when it comes to the crunch.
Yeah.
And we can talk, but you're right. They do look good. But this, I've got to be honest, we've been pretty negative about Super Rugby this year. I was actually kind of invested in a number of the results this week.
Do we go through them?
Okay, should we? Do you want to give me the testy?
Let's go with it.
Let's do
First game sees Moana Pacifika.
Can I just before you did this? Okay. I remember because I watched quite a lot of the games and a few of the full games and highlights of them and stuff. But I remember watching the La Rochelle Leinster game and being so good that it kind of just flash blinded all my memories of the other rugby that I've seen in the weekend. Right. I was like, oh god, it all just seems a bit of a blur behind it. Okay, but let's see how we go.
So Moana Pacifika and the Crusaders and Ross Smart.
Yes, the Crusaders got up.
The Crusaders got up.
Classic game.
41 points to 7. I will hand on heart admit did watch it. I was like, the Crusaders are going to pump them.
I think I watched
bits and pieces of it, but I wasn't sitting down watching it. Yeah.
Hear the news about Levi Amour?
Apparently he's going to the Crusaders.
He's going to the Crusaders.
Which is an absolute...
So Levi Amour is basically their best player. And the whole concept behind the Pacifica brand was that it would be give a professional pathway for players to play for the islands.
Mostly for Samoa and Tonga, but I guess Fiji is...
Yes,
there as well. I think the Cook Islands are there as well, but I mean, largely for Samoa and Tonga.
But in a sense, when they've got their best player, it's just become a feeder club.
Yeah, so, I mean...
I think it's a bit of a bullshit thing, because those players, they live in New Zealand, they play in New Zealand, but they can't play for New Zealand clubs. They can't play for the All Blacks.
Yeah, one of the things about Moana Pacifika being set up, like you said, is to provide a pathway for guys to get that Super Rugby level experience above the NPC and then to go on and play for Samoa or Tonga.
I think
a lot of them have. A lot of the guys who are the kind of not their best players have since gone on to represent Samoa and Tonga in the meantime. So they have taken that Super Rugby experience and put it to international level.
I hear what you're saying, but the best Pacifica players in New Zealand play for other super franchises.
And we should point out that I think all but one of the players for Moana Pacifika is either a New Zealander or a Australian by birth.
So I been thinking about that all this week. I think this thing is just a total farce. It's not about the Pacific Islands. It's not about a pathway. They've just shown that with Levi Amour signing to another team. And obviously having these players that weren't they're just the best of the rest who of island descent essentially. They weren't, because there's so many island players that are freaking tremendous
Yeah.
across the rest of the New Zealand and some of the Australian Pacific Island super teams, that I would prefer to see the 2 more teams and just being based off that Fijian Drua model of them being based in Tonga
Right.
or based in Samoa and made of players who are from the islands.
Right.
Give the actual island players who are in the islands, that's the pathway through.
Right.
You know, they're not New Zealand-based players. New Zealand-based players, if you're an islander, you do have a pathway to go to a higher level.
Yeah.
Like, you do have a pathway to be a professional rugby player. This was just, not even, it was just... virtue signaling that we're doing something great for the islands, but
Right.
it's not. You can tell by the crowd isn't behind them. The Pacifica community's not behind them. But if there was a Tongan and a Samoan team that was actually based in those nations, it would just be like the Drua.
You'd think so,
real
yeah.
support, real ground support.
I do get comments from people every now and again who are based in either Tonga or Samoa.
Yeah.
When the comments come up like, why aren't they picking guys locally to play for Moana Pacifika? And the comment generally is, look, the standard of rugby over here at the club game is miles off Super Rugby. Most of these guys aren't good enough to make the step up.
So why does it work with the Drua then?
I mean, Fiji is massively more populous than both Tonga and Samoa.
What are the populations?
I think Fiji is like almost 1 million, and like
Yeah.
the Samoa and Tonga are like 100, 200,000. So it's a big difference, and I think there's a lot more money in Fiji, but still, there's one guy, Miracle Fa'alangi, who is like a former Samoa Sevens player. He's with the Moana Pacifica squad this year. He's the first guy who's actually from Samoa who's playing for Moana Pacifica, and he looks the business. So I refuse to believe that like there's not the talent in the islands.
Yeah.
It's just the scouting maybe is not quite there. Like these guys need a chance, you know, to play at a higher level to see if they can make the step up.
At least just take them out of New Zealand.
Yeah.
Like, at least have them being
Based,
selected from the islands,
yeah.
you know?
I mean, you can't blame Levi Almua, who, as you said, is Moana Pacifica. Like he's one of the him and I think Tawatawa Nawai. Like
there was a massive chase for him, apparently. Apparently,
the Blues wanted him as well.
Blues and the Brumbies, or
exactly.
Tars or someone wanted
He's
him as
eligible
well?
for Samoa, so you would like to see if Moana Pacifica was doing its kind of job that he would go on to play for Samoa.
Sorry about that.
But I mean, the guy's a New Zealander by birth, so you can't blame him for wanting to go play for the Crusaders and wanting to be an All Black.
Yeah, and
Like, that would be
Crusaders is the
insane
best
to blame for that.
system. And when Scott Robinson, the next All Black coach, is saying to you, "Come play for us,"
Yeah, exactly.
we'd love to have you. You're like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, exactly. So he'd be nuts not to take that opportunity. But like you said, I do feel like, and we kind of touched on it a little bit last week, the way Moana Pacifica has been set up is kind of bad because at the moment, it's just the kind of the best of the rest from New Zealand rugby who happen to have Pacific heritage.
Yeah, that's right.
Like if they wanted to go like, let's make this team successful and get fans in behind it, they need to have some guys who are All Blacks. Like put Adi Savia in that team. Not that he's going to want to like leave his Hurricanes for them.
Yeah.
But if you had like one guy from each of the other teams, like Richie Moana goes to play for Moana Pacifica, Adi Savia, like Dalton Papali'i, like one guy from each team, big name player, and then the rest of them, like maybe you would get people attending because it'd be a competitive
But
side.
under the current rules, you can't even do
have that. No, they can't have that.
because they
it's-
wouldn't be able to represent New Zealand.
That's right. So it's kind of shooting itself in the foot.
So they're entirely a New Zealand-based team, but without the biggest carrot.
That's right. They're not competitive on the field. They don't have the big name draw players. Their biggest player is going to leave them because he's finally kind of made it to leave that team. It's just...
And their coaches said, I can't do much with this.
Yeah, he can't do much with us.
Aaron
He's leaving.
Major
Aaron
is
Major's resigned.
leaving.
So he was on a 3-year deal. He's leaving 1 year early.
What's he going to do next?
I don't know. He's not a very good coach.
Yeah. Well, maybe he's just growing into it. Maybe it's because he seems like a smart guy.
He's had a chance with Leicester. He got the ass from them. He had a chance with the Highlanders. They weren't very good. And then he's had a chance with Moana Pacifica. They won 2 games. Their record first year, 2-12, with a points difference of minus 247. And this year, they are none from 12 with a points difference of minus 264.
Damn, son. Who is he up against? Who are they up against in their final 2 games?
Did I write it down? I thought I did. Then they got the Drua. And then they've got
They almost got a win there.
the Waratahs away. 2 away games.
And they're probably going to lose.
Probably going to lose both of them.
Yeah. Sorry, Drew. Like,
Sorry, Drew. Sorry, Moana Pacifica.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Moana Pacifica. But, like, I wanted them to be successful. But I wanted this concept of it. But then if you just... if you peel back the layers, you can go, actually, it's just built on sand. It's just bullshit. You know,
The cynic in me, honestly, I think I might have
very
mentioned this
cynical
before,
about it now.
just sees this like someone at New Zealand Rugby going, shit, there's a lot of Tongan Rugby League fans. I reckon they'd come to Mount Smart to watch a Pacific team play.
Yeah.
But people aren't dumb. They don't want to come and see the best of the rest get hammered by 50 points.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that for years people have been saying we've taken so much from the islands.
Yeah.
They've provided us some of the greatest players the world has ever seen.
Yeah.
Provided so much talent to so many different nations. Pretty much every other nation has had an island star, especially the likes of New Zealand and Australia to a lesser extent. We need to thank them in some way. So this was meant to be some sort of like
step in that direction.
Step in the day of appreciating them, but it was
the implementation's not been great.
Yeah, and as it goes by, the reason there are so many Pacific Islanders in New Zealand was during the 1970s they came over
to do jobs that people didn't.
For primary workforce.
That's
essentially,
right.
in factories and all that sort of stuff. Yep. And then they tried to kick them out and they stayed and it got a bit messy. But they're now an integral part of New Zealand
culture.
And that was freaking 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And like those kids have had kids. They're third generation New Zealanders, some of them now.
Yeah.
So it's the people that we're trying to say that you can represent the islands, they're third generation New Zealanders in a lot of cases, you know? So it's
tenuous
at best. Yeah, and I want us. There needs to be some sort of good way to appreciate the islands, and I'd love.
This is kind of just a half-assed one, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much interest is going to be in this particular conversation we're having, but it's something that I just find it very bothersome.
Yeah, it's not. It's a nice idea, but I don't think they needed to do it either. You know, like you say, focus more on the islands or. Yeah. Allow them to be more flexible to get some big guns in. Yeah. I don't know. Like the team needs to be competitive.
How many more seasons like this
can they go through? Until
before people just go, this is
pointless.
Yeah.
Based in Auckland, where there's already a Super Rugby team and a league team.
Yeah, and Sky Sport has really tried to promo the heck out of them. Like on the Sky Sport Go app, there's like a Moana Legends or Moana page. Basically, it just has all their shorts, all the promos they've done for them. Right. Like they've put so much energy into it.
They're the sponsor of Moana Pacifika as well.
Trying to make it a thing, you know.
I honestly think they're just trying to rip off the Tongan League team.
Because if you haven't seen what Mount Smart Stadium looked like at the Rugby World Cup when Tonga
Rugby League World Cup,
it was one of the greatest.
It rivals that Champions Cup.
It beats it.
They were insane. Even just driving down the streets of Auckland, miles from the stadium, people driving in their cars, flags out the windows.
Well, that was Samoa recently when that was
that as well. But even previously, like at that last World Cup,
watch the
driving down the streets of Auckland, there was just flags everywhere,
and people's whole homes were covered in Tongan flags. Literally, and like it was just an absolute
phenomenon. I think that's what planted the seed in someone in New Zealand Rugby.
Going, well, we can do that.
We can do that.
Week in, week out with a. Yeah, and it's been the furthest thing.
It's been the opposite, yeah.
The total opposite.
The Drew has been great. They've had that.
Yeah, they have that, you know. Because the island folks love to cut. We all like to cut loose, but they cut loose in a freaking awesome way. I like it, you know. Anyway.
41-7.
Okay, so that was the first one. Yeah.
And their coach is leaving, and their best player is leaving.
All hope is gone.
The Reds played the Blues over in Brisbane.
And this would have been a game that the Reds would have gone into a bit of confidence back at home.
After beating the Chiefs. Last home game, Blues are a bit sketchy.
They've got an okay record, but they haven't been looking that fantastic, although they've just scratched out wins, haven't they?
Yeah.
Apart from against the big teams. The Blues won it, and I did watch it.
45-26.
Yeah, it's ended up being relatively comfortable.
Yeah.
A lot of points.
A lot of tries in that game.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the Blues getting the season back on track.
Be nice if they could tackle a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Still conceded, I think, 4. So
yeah. They seem to switch off still.
A battle at the bottom. Highlanders played the Rebels. They came out interestingly.
the game sponsored by Grindr.
Exactly.
The battle at the bottom. What was it? Sorry, who?
Highlanders and the Rebels down in Dunedin.
Highlanders and the Rebels. The Rebels for my money, deserved to win this game.
That was crazy, yeah.
It was actually really fun to watch.
That was a great game.
Yeah, and
funnily enough, like we've both been a bit critical of Super Rugby's format, like only cutting the bottom third, and everyone qualifies for the playoffs. But that game was bloody interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Because this is now with 3 rounds to go. It's finally there's a
bit of bite to it. Yeah,
there's a little bit and the bite would have been there so much earlier if it was a top 6.
That's right.
Like it really would have been you had to win.
But I guess that means there's fewer dead rubbers towards the end of the season.
But there's so many dead rubbers at the start.
Yeah, because nothing matters.
There's no tension.
Yeah.
So we're looking at it's like a relegation playoff basically almost. I thought the Rebels played really well. I thought they deserved to win this. I was screaming at the TV to someone do a drop kick at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
But they didn't. They shat the bed, and did the Highlanders get a last minute try? No, they got a last minute penalty to win the game with that guy that looks like Hitler's dream, basically, an Aryan child.
I described it as Gilbert. I described it as a last minute penalty in my power rankings today, and someone was like, "It wasn't last minute; it was 5 minutes overtime." I was like, "Okay,
all right, sorry
for getting it."
Well, that is still the last minute, by the way.
The last minute of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Suck a big cock, you.
Pedant's gonna pedant.
Is that the name?
Pedant's gonna pedant? I don't know. Is it pedant or is it pedant?
I don't know.
You're being pedantic.
You're pedantic.
So if someone who is pedantic is it a pedant or a pedant? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's the noun.
The noun
of someone who is pedantic. Yeah.
What a pedantic person is a pedant.
So a pedantic person is going to be pedantic, basically.
A pedantic person. Oh, don't be such a pedant. That sort of thing. I've never heard that ever.
Yeah.
Oh well. Okay. That person was a pedant.
There you go.
All right. Yep. So 2 from 2.
Chiefs, Hurricanes. Kind of one of the battles at the more upper end of the table for that one.
Yeah. And
it was wet. Very, very wet.
Yeah, and it's rain coming in from the side.
That was during that big weather event we had. We had lots of bloody rain and wind.
Every weekend there's one, isn't there? Right now it seems pretty still.
It's been pretty calm.
The Chiefs got that one done relatively comfortably.
Yeah, 23-12. So
yeah,
Vai'i got a couple of tries. Taukei'aho got a try.
When they don't turn up, they don't turn up, do they?
You know? I looked at the records for the power rankings. They've lost like 3 of their last 5. So, but again, I think 2 of them were against the Chiefs and 1 against somebody else. Maybe Crusaders on the top team.
I think they're lacking a little bit of class at first 5. I think that's one of their big problems.
Yeah,
rested all their. How many players are
they
rested all their All Blacks?
Yeah, that's right.
Their fullback and their first 5 kept on running into each other at the back. Under the high ball. Yeah.
They'll still make the playoffs. So
then they could beat anyone on their day, potentially.
That's right. The Waratahs played the Drua, which again, in terms of the playoffs picture, is an important one.
Yeah, and the Tars got it done.
The Tars got done pretty comfortably, 32-80. Did you see any of that game?
I did.
The offloads and stuff from the Waratahs were insane.
They were Fijian-like.
They were out Fijianing the Fijians.
Which is hard to do.
But they did it with aplomb. They were looking the business.
With aplomb, you say?
Exactly.
Oh, my God.
Jorgensen, 3 try assists.
Oh, he is a quality-looking player.
He's a potential bolter.
I think he's very good. I like the look of him. I love the look of...
Still very young, but looks
love
the
look of Nawahasi.
Nawahasi.
And... Gleason looks world class.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was thinking to myself, if
you get this guy and you get this guy,
it's like, the Wallabies
got a pretty good team.
Exactly.
You only need 23.
And then if you get a bit of Eddie Jones, because he's got that first up bolt of inspiration for a team.
He does seem to add a bit of the juice for his first season, doesn't he?
Yeah, and this is the first season you want to have.
Exactly.
This could be it, guys.
When I did the World Cup odds the other day, a lot of people were like, "Ooh, I like that. I like the look of Australia at the moment."
What were their price?
Oh, I can't remember the exact price, but the Aussies were paying decent money, like 5th or 6th favourites, I think. So
what are they getting for it? If I put a dollar on them,
go watch the video. I can't remember the price.
If I could put $10 on them, am I going to get 120 back?
No, I don't think it was that much. I think it was less than $10.
So okay,
but yeah,
all right. Well,
South African fans didn't like being 4th. They were saying 4th was like being written off. 4th's not being written off.
No, I think 4th's a good spot to be in. Trust me, we've been favourites at almost
every time except this one. We are the second favourite.
I don't think we weren't favourites at the '95 World Cup either.
Okay.
And we looked.
We're not.
We weren't.
Really?
We didn't go into that one as favourites.
Okay. Who was the favourite for that one?
It was either Australia or it might have been Australia. We weren't the favourites, and we loved it. We loved not going into it.
Okay.
That's right. We lost to France the year before.
Right.
We had lost to... Did we lose to South Africa the year before?
That was the Eden Park loss, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the last time we lost to South
Eden
Africa at Eden Park.
Right.
Yeah, so... Yeah, this will be the second time, but we've screwed the bed so many times.
Yeah.
We've been favourites.
That's right.
So I don't give a rat's ass where we are. What are we, third or fourth?
We're second. Yeah.
We're second favourite.
Second favourites, despite being less than stellar.
Jeez Louise.
Ireland
just
a third.
that Ireland a third? Is it just because their history?
That was before the Champions Cup final as well.
Yeah, I'm making a bit of a writing now.
Okay.
You know, by the way, I like to talk about the things I write for 3 months before I make them.
Yeah.
And then I write them for about 3 months. I edit them for about 3 months, and then I put them out, and they get about 3,000
You
views.
did a video about Rugby League, which was, I'll put it up there.
Thanks,
It's a good watch. Go watch it. It's about league converts, the ones who did great and the ones who did less than stellar.
If you watch it, you can join a very exclusive club of a small amount of people who have watched it. So thank you.
I thought it was good.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I didn't play to my base with that one. Did not play to my base. I love League, but nobody wants to hear me talk about it.
I know. Including me. But I still watched the video. The last one was the Force up against the Brumbies. And the Brumbies...
Oh, yeah, the Brumbies went down.
They sent their B team.
And the
out to
Force,
Perth.
it's a great result for the Force.
In terms of the playoffs,
Yeah.
absolutely. If you want to book yourself a trip to Hamilton for that first knockout stage, the Force are looking good.
Well, but if they can get up over the Brumbies in
Perth.
camp... Oh, they're in Perth, yeah, sorry.
And
okay.
Brumbies B team.
Against the Brumbies B team. But hey, they still got it done.
They still got it done. And they did it with comfortably.
And
They went out to a big lead. They did a Leinster. They scored early. They got like 3 tries, had a nice big lead. And then they held on to it.
But they didn't have a Will Skelton coming in.
No, they didn't have Will Skelton come back at
Will
them.
Skelton was player of the game for me.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he's so good.
They gave it to Aldrich, but Skelton
I
wasn't.
hope he plays that well for the Wallabies. They deserve it. I don't often say nice things about Wallabies, so yeah. I want them to be good, you know. Anywho, is that it?
Yeah, 34-19.
Some great games in there.
Yeah, there were some good ones.
Yeah, I enjoyed pretty much all.
Tasty.
There wasn't really any bad.
I mean, the
games in there.
Crusaders hammered Moana
Oh,
Pacifika.
that was a bad game. I'll give you that. Did you hear? I saw a clip on YouTube today saying it's with Justin Marshall, and he has to do like a wrap up of what had happened on SENZ, whatever it was.
Okay.
And
what's SENZ?
It's like a radio sport, basically.
Okay.
And they were asking him about the games, and they asked him about that game, and he was like, you know what? I actually flicked over to I just was so bored, and I flicked over to an NRL game. Nobody really wants to see a team get beaten by 30, 40 points. And that's his whole team. You know?
They just kept scoring. It was just like every 10 minutes, like, oh, another try, oh, another try,
like training
another
ground
try.
stuff.
Yeah, like I had it on in the background, and then I went to play pool.
All right. Who'd you play pool with?
My mate Sandeep.
Oh, shout out to Sandeep. Is he a big fan?
Nope.
Probably doesn't even know you have a podcast.
Yeah, probably not. Knows I've got a YouTube channel, but that's about it.
Does he watch any of your content?
No.
Do any of your friends watch any of your content?
Very rarely.
Some of my friends don't talk to me about it, but when I see them, they go, I saw that video you made. I would have done this. And I'm like, thanks for your advice.
Thanks for your help. My brother said that occasionally, if he's like talking about family or someone, like, oh, what's your brother do? Oh, he runs a rugby YouTube channel. Like, oh, that guy, 20 cents. I know him. He's all right.
That guy, half a shilling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So happens every now and again, but pretty rarely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was Super Rugby. We got 2 rounds to go before the knockout stages.
Can I give you a little hype? Have you got?
Ooh, I haven't got any of the next week's games written down. So
No, how are we gonna do the? I thought this would be a weekly segment, like the
who's going to make
the run for the top?
I mean, I can bring up the table.
Okay, do the
if
run
you want
for
me to
the
bring up
top
the
8
table, I've got flight mode on at the moment though because I was
Turn
worried
off
about,
your flight mode.
I was worried about getting messages during the podcast.
All right, you did last week.
I want to be
You
professional.
didn't actually pick up on it though.
There you go. Email.
How's
It's
that?
spam.
Spam.
Yeah.
Is it someone offering you millions of dollars for your channel?
Basically.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness me. Facebook messages. It's all go.
Oh my god.
It's all go.
All right, so the teams that are definitely still in it, the Force,
Moana Pacifika is dead and buried.
they're gone.
They are on 3 points.
They could win both games by 100 points, and they're still not going to.
Currently, you've got the Force sitting in 8th
Uh-huh.
on 22, Above them is the Reds on 23. Then there's a gap of 7 points to the Waratahs. So the Waratahs should be safe.
Reds are 7th.
Reds are 7th.
Okay.
So the Waratahs should be safe on 31. But 7th and 8th is 23 and 22. Then you got the Highlanders just outside the playoffs on 19. So they probably need a couple of wins, and then the Drua on 17, Rebels on 16.
You got to hope that the
But the Reds, their final 2 games are away to the Highlanders, who's kind of one of their knockout rivals. So whoever wins that one basically knocks the other one out, maybe. Game. And then the Reds are away to the Drua as well. So they got 2 tough games to finish off the season.
Wow, and those games are all pretty crucial. I'm glad they're playing each other. I'm glad
that makes it tasty. Yeah.
I'd be more.
And also the Force have got the Rebels. So
it's weird being more interested at the bottom of the table. Than the top of the table.
It is. Like the Chiefs are pretty much guaranteed the top spot. Then there's just a battle of where the other ones are going to finish. Crusaders 42, Brumbies 41,
Are
Blues
we in
38.
second or third at the moment?
We're in 4th on 38. Behind the Brumbies.
Overinflated our
We're
status.
1 point above the Canes.
Right. And who are we playing? Oh, who gives a shit?
We are playing the Canes.
Oh.
So that could be a wee battle for like 4th and 5th.
To see who plays the Reds, basically.
Yeah,
the Reds and the Tars.
Yeah, and then we've got the Highlanders at home.
Right. So okay, we should do that.
So the Blues finished with 2 home games.
All right.
We're great at home. We beat Moana Pacifika by 1 point.
Was that the most appalling game we've played in 2 years?
That was awful. We still won it, so...
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Wow. Oh, you know what else happened
Who
today?
would you like to see make it if you've only got the Reds, Force, Highlanders, Drua, and Rebels?
I kind of am pulling for the Force a little bit.
The Rebels are... they'd have to... They would have to hope the other 2 teams lose, and then they have to win both.
I think you can put a line through Pacifica and the Rebels now.
Drua's only 1 point ahead of them, but they've got 2 home games to clear out the season. Moana Pacifika and the Reds.
If the Force do win their both 2 games, they're relying on other results, basically, to try and get in there.
The Force are in 8th, so I think if they win
the
both...
Force, sorry.
Drua...
the Rebels.
The Rebels would absolutely need a mathematical miracle, maybe.
So they're not in good shape. I would love the Drua to get in. But part of the reason I'd love them to get in is because I want to see another game in Fiji, which that ain't gonna happen. Yeah. So I think if they do get through, it's unlikely that it's all unlikely that any of these teams will beat Waikato. But I'd like the Drua to get through.
They've still been a great story of the season, I reckon.
Other than that, I'd like the Force.
Yeah, I like the look of the Force as well.
Yeah,
go on, Force.
Come on, Force. Do it for
Tony.
Yeah, 2 Cents Gets Distracted, a rugby podcast. We'd really appreciate that. Oh, in exciting news, would you like to know what happened in the world of league today?
Okay.
The State of Origin.
Oh.
Right. Teams were announced.
Who's in? Who's out? Who's the big omission?
The big omission is Kalen Ponga.
I know that name.
Kalen Ponga was probably the most influential player in Game 3, but he got knocked out by the young star, Reece Walsh, who used to play for the Warriors, but has been lighting the NRL on fire this year for the Brisbane Broncos.
Okay.
Not for the Warriors.
So concussion.
Well,
rather than selection?
He had some pretty serious concussion issues earlier in the year, but he came back for 1 game.
Right.
And played an absolute blinder. This is Kalen Ponga. Kalen Ponga, by the way, has 2 very, very Kiwi parents who all his life wanted him to be an All Black. And he still flirts with the idea of one day coming across.
How old is he?
He would be 24, 25.
Okay.
Something like that. But and never lived in New Zealand.
Right.
Māori Australian.
Okay.
Basically. But yeah, he played an incredible game for the Newcastle, the team that he plays for, and then he played this weekend. He got another little bit of a knock, got an HIA, but then also at one point he was on the 4th tackle, the 5th tackle. He was playing the ball, and he took the tackle. On the 4th tackle, sorry. He took the tackle, and then he got up, and he gave his dummy half a massive spray. Like, what the... Why did you give it to me in this position? It was dumb. And then just put the ball down and walked off. And everyone was like, "You've got another tackle." And then he was like, I'm so... So he's been dropped.
Oh, wow.
He's been dropped. And yeah, Reece Walsh has got it. And the other big talking point on the New South Wales, there's a bunch of other players and stuff. You don't really care. You're gonna what? We're gonna live stream them with the first
Origin.
game.
Yeah.
Origin. The one game. How many games of the league have you watched this year?
None.
Have you watched any highlights?
No.
If you catch it, the Warriors are on. Do you go next?
I don't catch it. No.
So good, man. Warriors are in the...
I've been watching a bit of ice hockey.
Okay, that's good. If the Warriors are in the...
One of the games went to the fourth overtime period
very
in the
exciting.
Stanley Cup playoffs. Fourth overtime. So they essentially played 2 games. First 3 periods were tied up. Then they played 3 more periods, which is a whole nother game. And then the fourth one, at the end of that fourth period.
Is this in like a playoff or the finals?
Yeah, in the playoffs.
Oh, okay, wow. And that's going to screw those teams for the next series.
Yeah, they're going to be tired.
Yeah.
They essentially played 2 games. The game finished like 1:30 in the morning because it started at like 8.
Ouch.
The crowd still stayed.
What were the teams?
The Carolina Hurricanes against the Florida Panthers.
Hurricanes.
So 2 kind of like southern teams. All the Canadians are kind of annoyed that like these guys don't even care about hockey. They're not even real fans. So yeah.
I
some
just
NHL.
It reminds me that an absolute travesty has happened in the Cake Tin of late.
Oh, what happened in the Cake Tin?
Well, ever since the Hurricanes have been around, have you been to a Hurricanes game?
I have been to a Hurricanes
And
game.
you-
I went to see a playoffs
I
match.
went to the Brumbies game the year the Jerry Collins passed away.
Oh, really?
Everyone started chanting Jerry at the end. It was
that's
very
pretty
cool.
You're so far from the action at the Cake Tin, though. It's
I
miles.
enjoyed it. It's the atmosphere.
I
and
got a
stuff.
seat literally on the sideline. I was
went-
like, oh, I want to be close to the action. And I was miles away.
I went to the All Whites versus Mexico there as well.
Okay.
A World Cup playoff game that we lost 4-2 or something.
Right.
Um,
I saw the Bulls play the Hurricanes in a quarterfinal.
right. Oh, yeah.
Porter Heyman was the coach. And weirdly, the coaches have to walk from like the changing rooms across the field
Yeah.
and then up through the stands to get to their little coaches' boxes.
I like that.
Because, yeah, the coaches were walking up and like some South African fans were like, hey, Porter.
You know what I'd like to see? I would really like to see a coach's box on the sideline, similar to the way they do it in football.
Right.
I want to see
In
them out
France,
there.
the coaches like to get down and dirty with the,
Yeah.
with the
I don't
sideline
like them
action.
being up there in the box. What's the point?
Yeah, I guess they can see the game better.
Well, why is it different in football? I like them to be
They
down
like
there.
screaming at the players in football.
Yeah, I like them to scream at the players and think just to see the cool
The
cats.
gentleman's game.
Anyway,
Watch the top 14 though. The coaches really stand on the sideline. Bruno Nagara's got into like some scraps with the other
I've
coaches.
heard-
Yeah.
I
It's
love
great.
a bit of that.
Bit of drama.
Yeah, add a bit of that. Who cares? Everyone loves that. But anyway, the thing I was trying to say was a travesty.
Oh yes.
Since Super Rugby's inception, the classic chant across the loudspeaker at all Hurricanes games was
Hurricanes.
Hurricanes.
Right.
Hurricanes.
It's ingenious. We do chanting really well in New Zealand.
Hurricanes.
It's like how you familiar with the All Blacks
Hurricanes.
chant?
Wait for it.
Okay.
Hurricanes.
Okay, there you go.
That's how it
You
finishes.
familiar with the All Blacks chant?
All Blacks. All Blacks.
Or sometimes when we're getting real original, just black, 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 black.
Come on. Yeah, we're really, really creative. But the Hurricanes over the loudspeaker is a thing of the past. They don't do it anymore. Hurricanes. Hurricanes. Don't know, it's gone.
Oh.
I know, it's sad.
They just like killing all the joy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like what they did with the Sevens down in Wellington. It
used to be one of the best events in the
carnival,
world.
and then they would like, no, make it friendly for families, and then nobody went anymore.
Yeah, and it sucked. Yeah, way to shit on everything, New Zealand.
You suck, New Zealand.
Oh, speaking... We love it. Very proud New Zealanders.
New Zealand's got some nice things,
Yeah, it's
but,
got
but
some
fan
cracking-
engagement at games is not one of them.
But the you probably didn't keep up with the Sevens at all. But the Sevens, the All Black Sevens, have been getting all sorts of shit recently.
Oh, really?
They lost what everyone thought was, relatively everyone was happy about because they've been doing so well this year, the World Series. They lost against Fiji in the final, which
There's no shame in that.
but I know it's cracking end of the game as well.
Okay.
But in the semi-final, it was to and fro, yada yada yada. France scored at the very end, but had a drop kick. They don't convert; they do drop kicks
Oh, yes.
as their conversions.
Yes, even I know that about
And they have
Sevens.
like a very strict 30-second thing.
Right.
You've got to take your drop kick, or
Yeah.
else they can't take it. So they went to take the drop kick, and if he got it over, it would have gone to golden point. The golden point is just next try wins basically. So it went to golden point. He was lining it up, but then the New Zealand players just started moseying up the field, walking in front of him, and he was just in there. Can they get out of the way? Get out of the way? And then there's this big death gong goes gong, and then the referee goes, game over. You didn't take kick, and he was like, they were in the way. They
And
were
did
in
the
the way.
ref not call it back?
The ref didn't call it back.
Wow, that's bullshit.
And all the players, the Kiwis, have been told that they were on social media and stuff.
Disgraceful.
Disgraceful. Typical Kiwis. This is what you get from New Zealanders because we're known for cheating. I don't know.
And at the side.
And this Richie didn't know where the offside line was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it's probably the most anyone's talked to you about sevens in a long time. I'd say.
Yeah, I don't follow much of the sevens, sadly.
Yeah.
I've got enough.
Did you ever try to?
I watched it at either the Olympics or like the Commonwealth Games, and I just like, there's too many tries in this bullshit.
I don't like entertainment.
It's just too many tries. It's just, yeah. And like, I'll be watching a game and like, oh, that's an insurmountable lead. And then in the next 30 seconds, there's like 4 tries. Yeah. I'm exagerrating, but yeah, teams can overcome a deficit really easily.
Of quality entertainment, when is the next 2 Cents on Tour video coming out?
I'm almost finished editing.
Woo!
One. I'm actually editing.
Mark is learning the joys of editing.
Yes. If you haven't seen 2 Cents on Tour, it is a separate YouTube channel with me walking around in China.
It's my favorite channel of a New Zealander who speaks fluent Chinese, Mandarin, walking around Wuhan.
There you go.
Ever.
It is probably the best channel on YouTube for that niche. It probably is. Yeah. So
it's really good. It's really good.
Yeah. The next video is it's all right. I go to the church and talk to a lady who invites me back to her house.
And he gets a little handy.
She's 60 years old.
Handy's a handy.
Beans, gummy juices.
Caveat. What do they say? Champagne taste, beer budget. That's you, pal.
Okay, there we go. But yeah, I'm hoping to have that video out in the next couple of days.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Do watch those videos if you are interested.
You sound like the Dilma tea guy. Do try it.
Yeah, do try it.
Yeah, do try it. Yeah. They're great. Watch them.
Well, so far there's only one, so it's great.
Yeah, but I'm sure I'm looking forward to the rest of the content.
Yeah.
How many videos do you think you're going to put out on this?
20 odd.
Jeez, you're going to be editing these for like 3 years.
Yeah. I'm hoping to do one every 2 weeks.
Yeah, right.
And then that'll be about a year's worth of videos.
Okay, and then you go away again.
Hopefully go away again, do some more if I don't get banned.
And there's so much of China to explore.
That's right.
Yeah.
I do mention
Why
a few
would you
times.
get banned?
There's a few times in the videos because like in China, there's like freaking propaganda posters everywhere.
Yeah, right.
And like there's a few times where I'm kind of, I shouldn't read it, but I get a bit sick of it and I kind of comment on it. I can edit it out, but yeah.
Nah, keep that shit in.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't want people to think like, oh, this guy's just a sycophant for the CCP.
The old CCP.
Yeah.
You know me, CCP. Anyway, before I start breaking into...
So this week's big game, apart from the Super Rugby, which has got 2 rounds to go, big battle at the bottom, brought to you by Grinder.
The Grinder battle.
Is the old Munster away trip to Cape Town to play the Stormers in the URC. And we have a wee wager on that one.
We have a very sour...
Disgusting wager.
Intense.
For some Chinese alcohol.
Nasty stuff.
Yeah.
What is it? Fing Jiao?
Finjo, yeah.
Finjo?
Finjo.
Yeah.
Yep. So
the way I remember it is finger job.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I really hope Munster get up then. Really do. But you're pretty confident that apparently it's sold out in
sold out in no time. People were like logging on and it said like you are number 1,400 in the queue or some shit. So
which isn't too bad when you consider the stadium's got.
It's a pretty big stadium, 50,000. So yeah, good on you Cape Townians for getting out there supporting the team. Hope there's a few Munster fans travelling down.
You know, one of the problems with Super Rugby over the last few years, Canterbury. It used to be like you'd be like, wow, this is a big event when it was played at Loftus or somewhere like that in South Africa.
It was played down in that crappy stadium down in Canterbury.
Played in that fucking
scaffolding
stadium in Christchurch.
Yeah,
it wasn't bad when it was old Jade Stadium. At least that was a
proper stadium. Yeah,
but it's 6 years in a row. It's been played. Well, it got played at Eden Park last year, I guess. Didn't it? But yeah, so many years just played in. Like you look at it as a spectator, where you're tuning in, like you're tuning in from the other side of the world for the Heineken Cup.
If there's one game you're gonna watch,
this is a big deal. This is massive.
This
is huge. But the counter of that, like
they get good crowds there, but it's just a pretty crap looking stadium because it is a crap stadium.
That is
they deserve something better for a team that good.
They do. On that bombshell, have we talked about rugby enough?
I think we did. I think we were relatively kind of focused today.
Concise, not so many tangents.
Yeah, less in the way of
sorry
tangents.
About that. I feel like it's my job to...
Nothing about your sweaty backside or...
My swamp ass.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Good times.
Yeah, I'll try and bring some more. Do you want some more Swamp Ass content?
Next week's on your channel, so we'll do the Swamp Pass then.
Okay, fantastic. When it's on your channel, it's just
Down the.
If you don't know who I am, I have a YouTube channel called Distracted Sports.
Yes. He does videos about largely rugby, but also a little bit about hurling.
Yeah. A bit about Rugby League.
Rugby League, yeah. The most recent one's about Rugby League. It's a pretty good watch.
It's about rugby union. It's about the best converts to rugby.
Yes, actually. It's from a union point of view, but touches on league.
And it does not sit well with my base, basically.
Give him a chance, people. Give him a chance. He spent a long time editing it. Editing is painful.
It took ages. Anyway, good work.
Yes. See you
Why
next
do you
week.
make me reach so far? Look, a handshake should go halfway. You like hold your hand here. What kind of
lean? I'm trying to stay close to the microphone.
Honestly, look, you're really depowering me when you shake my hand like this. I feel like you're trying to make me touch your cock. Can we shake hands? No. Just come in the middle. There we go.
There's a handshake for the ages.
Yeah, it's a great handshake. This is how Mark shakes hands.
I'm trying to stick close to this thing in my face.
What? You're trying to...
This.
Oh, you're trying to... Oh, right. So your hand in your
You're
face.
You're anyway. Let's go.
All right, okay. Anyway,
Thank you, folks.
Arida.